Good afternoon, Miss Leach Rodney.
Good afternoon.
Good. Glad you made it in this afternoon.
Very nice to meet you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, you've been teaching for about 5 years, it says here. Now, how would you describe your teaching style?
Well, my teaching style is based on the Bank Street approach.
Mm-hmm.
This is where my students will get the chance to learn through active engagements with materials, ideas, and people. For example, you,
Mm-hmm.
me, and their peers. As a teacher, I would provide diverse, different types of material activities as I nurture their physical, cognitive, language, and social emotional skills. For example, physical, they can, I'll give them activities like let them listen to music, they move their body. I'll nurture that, they, give them physical, they'll gain physical skills from that. Even their pencils that they write with, I'll supply materials for them to use. So it strengthens their fingers, the motor skills, those are the fine motor skills, yeah. And for language, of course, books and games and so on that will teach them how to speak and learn words and be responsive. And social emotional, with their peers, I provide the different activities for them to play among each other. And that's it for my Bank Street approach.
Okay, well, thank you. Now, how would you teach children cultural diversity in your classrooms? That's important to us, so we just want to see, how would you teach it?
The first thing I would do is to gather information and get to know more about the families. And these families, they are the ones that are represented in the classroom, right? I would provide multicultural materials such as books, music, games, and other activities that are developmentally appropriate for them. They would be able to explore and learn about other races, cultures, abilities, and disabilities. My physical classroom would have multicultural displays and to encourage non-stereotyping and prejudice.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now, what are your views on weekly lesson plans?
Oh, well, what are my views? It's very important to me, very, very important. It helps me to stay on track. It helps me to stay on track where I can come in the classroom ready to teach and guide my students as they explore and learn. That will help me, whereas I know that I can teach with a purpose. When having the lesson plan, as well as know what is working and not working for each individual child. It is a big, big, big support for me. For example, let me see if I can give you an example.
Okay.
Planning beforehand, like an activity, I'll know the kind of activity I'm going to use. Let's say I want to observe like physical skills in my students, or language skills, whichever developmental area I want to observe and see what they know. Well, I'll come up with an activity, and I plan everything on the activity, the material, how to set it up, if it's a large group or a small group, which is better for this activity, and then there, come in, prepare it, get it ready, and that's where the planning, the weekly planning comes in. And so come in the classroom, and I'm organized and ready to teach that activity where I can get the results.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Now, what do you find most challenging about caring for children?
The most challenging part when caring for young children is to understand each individual need and to provide the necessary means to satisfy these needs. This is challenging because most times gaining trust from young children takes time, and sometimes this can be a disadvantage in providing the help they need. Example for this, let me see. You know, sometimes the kids, they'll come in the morning, and you don't know if they're hungry. Sometimes you don't know if they're hungry, right? And they might be a little, not, so don't seem happy, or don't want to learn, or just moody, right? And for sometimes you try to get it out, ask them, try to see what's going on, and sometimes they don't really wanna say. They're kids. It's hard for you to gain their trust sometimes, right? And so, and that's challenging, just to get what you need to get from them, to help them,
Right.
to make them feel safe.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Another question for you. Now, challenge behavior. How would you handle challenging behavior?
That coming from what you just talked about. First of all, I would work to gain the trust. I would observe, look for like unmet needs, and support them by filling those unmet needs.
Right.
This will help to build positive relationships with them. Sometimes culture plays a part in challenging behaviors, because with different race and culture and the different traditions, like the food, different food that they eat. You know, our food, my food might be different from your food. You know, relating to our the different cultures and tradition. And for kids, our children in the classroom, sometimes the culture, how they how they relate and how they want certain things might not be the way in our classroom, you know, the settings and the rules can be different.
Right.
And just by the teacher or the educators, just by us learning about the culture can help solve some of the issues that may occur during, you know, these behaviors. Because, you know, if we don't know what's going on or how they like certain things, for instance, or their food, if you warm up their food or they don't like it colder and you give it to them cold and they like it warm, because I have that issue, you know, my cereal, I want it warm, and other, you know, I know American kids, they love this, they just eat the cereal with the cold milk. And I have to warm up my milk. Knowing that, and that can be an issue, you know, cause behavior too, because the kids, you know, children, that's an example I'm giving you. Children, you know, probably don't know how to relate to you that this is how I want it, and not eating it because it wasn't warmed. For example, they might get upset, cause behavior.
Right.
So that's an example.
Okay. Well, thank you. Now, your ideal classroom, how would you describe for me your ideal classroom?
My ideal classroom should be a place where children feel safe, comfortable, and engaged.
Okay.
The physical environment should be bright and colorful, as well as spacious for them to run around and, you know, free to play, free to be free, just free. Okay? No, you know, they can be stumbling over materials or equipment or furniture. So it should be spacious.
Yes.
Areas different areas like the tables, the furniture and material, they should be labeled with different languages that are represented in the classroom. Like the centers, for example, like the library should have multicultural materials for all children to explore and learn. I think that's it. And I can give examples if you like.
No, I think you explained that quite well. If you want to get it, it's up to you.
You know, like the walls, they should have even the kids' pictures and their families. Brightly colored, yellow, green, blue, red, and books, multicultural books around, and pictures of different culture in the classroom, display in the classroom.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And yeah, and the other question that I have for you, what steps would you take to make your class interesting?
Okay. I would cater to the different learning styles as I provide hands-on activities and interactive games. I would include music, storytelling, and art and craft to encourage creativity in all my students. They would dance and sing along, developing physical skills. They'll play games, again developing cognitive skills. Games also help them to develop social emotional skills, that's among their peers. And even myself, adults, we interact with them and play with them too. And we'll just enjoy each other's company.
All right. All right. Well, those are all the questions that I have for you. And one final thing. Oh, do you have any questions for me?
Well, yes, I do. I have 3 questions. One of those questions, what's the school culture like? Next question, how do you approach students' discipline?
Okay.
Last but not least, how do you measure teacher success?
Okay. Well, let's take a little break, a coffee break, and then we'll come back and I'll answer those questions for you.
Okay.
Is that a deal?
Yes, that's a deal.
All right. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure having you, Miss Hazel H. Rodney. Thank you. Okay, that's great.